Well, the refrigerator is the keeper of all of our yummy eats, but keeping it clean can be a bit of a challenge. Organizing expert Monica Ricci recently shared some simple tips for a neat and tidy fridge. Take a look. Oh, Monica, I am so happy you're here because you are truly an expert when it comes to organization, 20 years of experience. And I know so many of us, we're thinking about spring cleaning, but even before that, we're gonna dive into something that we organize and clean every week, most of us, and that is the fridge. Let's talk about space management. How can we maximize how much room we actually have in there?
Christine, it's so good to see you. The refrigerator space is at a premium, especially if you have a family or if you have a counter depth refrigerator, because those can be very shallow. So one of my best tips for space management is to always choose squares when you have containers that you're storing food in. Squares fit the square profile of a refrigerator. So you're using all the space, the maximum space on the shelves, but you also want to use your vertical space, and that's where using matching squares also helps. You can see here that the squares stack so nicely if they're matching, and so you're not wasting any space, whereas circles and mismatched containers can really waste your space.
I'm tossing them all this afternoon. Great advice. All right, something else now with the price of food on the rise. I can't stand when all of a sudden I find something and I'm like, oh my gosh, we forgot to eat that. So what can we do to cut down on that food waste? It's sinful.
Yes, it is. It is sinful. Well, one of the things that I find goes to waste most often is produce.
Yes.
And for me, I love berries. Like, I eat so many berries, but I find that when I buy them, they often go bad within just a day or two.
Yeah.
So one of my great tips is to use these berry bins. These things are amazing because they have an insert that's perforated, ventilated, and so they let air circulate. The other extra tip is to rinse your berries in a vinegar and water solution, and then rinse them with clear water, and that helps to cut down on the mold growth in there, and so your berries will last a whole lot longer.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Where have you been all my life? All right, now let's talk about tips that involve Velcro. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's funny because when we talked about the square glass containers, these things here.
Yeah.
One of the things that you can do, because they're glass, is number one, you can see through them. This also helps with food waste too, because you can see what food is in here. When your food is in a container that's not clear, like for example, an old margarine tub or something like that, it's a mystery. In addition, take a Sharpie marker or a dry erase marker, and you can write the date right on the glass, and it will wipe right off with some water. That way you're never wondering how old your food is, and it doesn't go to waste. So that's another thing that's really important if you want to save money around this time of year, which all of us do, because we're coming into the summer and we don't want to be buying produce again, wasting it, buying and wasting. So use your marker, Velcro it to the side of the fridge, and you'll be good to go.
Love it. All right, now part of the challenge of keeping any space organized is, of course, having to pick through the drawers that have all kinds of things thrown in there. I mean, my family, I love them, but they're not great about putting things back neatly. So what can we do about that?
You know, the same way that when you open a file drawer for papers, your files have labels. It's great to label the drawers in your refrigerator. And here's why. They do two things. Number one, they tell everybody who opens that refrigerator what belongs in that space. But the second part is that they also tell them what does not belong there. So it's a nice visual reminder when it says fruit or vegetables or produce or meats, whatever it is, that tells your eyes, oh, this is for meats and cheeses. It's not for yogurt, for example.
I love that tip as well. And then what happens when you don't have a system? Things get shoved on all the shelves. Inevitably, things get obviously pushed back, never to be seen again until you're cleaning it out and going, oh, that's where that delicious filet went that we never touched. So what tips do you have for solving that issue particularly?
Well, earlier we talked about visibility with the clear glass containers. Now I'm going to talk about accessibility. So this is my first and favorite tip. Lazy Susans are a wonderful way to make sure that the food that goes into your refrigerator remains visible and accessible. The second thing is to use bins to create groups of things. That way there's nothing ever in the back Everything comes out as a single unit, and you can access and put away. So accessibility and visibility are your friends.
And so are you. Thank you so much, Monica. Where can we go to learn more and just get all of this great information?
You can find me at monicaricci.net.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy organizing.